Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition, and today we are going to talk about loneliness and boredom and why we feel lonely, why we feel bored during our ascension process, because it feels like we shouldn't feel those things. So we're going to talk about those too. We're also going to talk about a new trick. I was going to make this a separate video, but I think I'm going to include it here, which I tried yesterday for the first time, and I don't know why I never thought about it before, but it was kind of cool, so I'll do that at the end. Okay. Loneliness. Why do we feel lonely? We shouldn't feel lonely, right? We're ascending, we're connecting within ourselves because we've all known, even in our human consciousness, when we could feel lonely around people, right? So loneliness was never about other people. It was always about our connection with ourselves. Even in our human consciousness, we understand that. We understand at some point we start to understand that it's not about other people, because it is that old adage, what, in a room of people I've never felt so alone, because the connection's not there. Now some people will take it and they'll distort it a little bit and say, oh, the connection with that person's not there. And it's not the connection with the person, it's the connection with yourself. You can only connect with someone as deep as you are connected with yourself and how deep they're connected with themselves. So that's why connections can get, I don't want to say harder, but they're a little different when you go through really deep connections within yourself, because you have a hard time connecting with others on that level because they're not as deeply connected in. So we kind of have a lot of short connections or brief connections because they just don't meet that criteria for us. But loneliness in general is never about anybody else. So even though we try to kind of bring other people in, it's never about anybody else. So when we start to feel lonely and you're going through your process and you're like, why do I feel lonely? I shouldn't feel lonely. I'm so connected with myself now. Why do I feel lonely? Because the current connection you have is no longer one of the reasons. I wanted to say one of the reasons because there's going to be a zillion reasons for everything. But one of the reasons that I will see is that the current connection you have with yourself is not good enough anymore, in a sense. I hate to use that word good or bad, but it's just not sufficient anymore. You have to go deeper in now. You now require a deeper connection with yourself to feel that peace and joy and that awesome feeling we have when we're in that connected state. And right now we have to go deeper in. Now in our human consciousness, we would want to go out and try to find people to connect with. But when we're in our higher consciousness states, we know we have to go deeper in. It's not about everybody else. It's now what's going on with me. And that should always be the question you ask first. Something's going on, what's going on with me? That's like the first question I'll ask now. What's going on with me? What do I got going on? Why do I feel this way? So when I don't really get so much loneliness anymore. I used to get a lot of that. Now it's more, for me, once that loneliness, I got to a certain place where loneliness started transitioning kind of into a boredom for me. And sometimes they can feel almost interchangeable at a point. Like, am I lonely or am I bored? Where am I? Because boredom is a part of the process, because we can go through so many different realities, and when we're waiting for a new reality to come online, I hate to use the word waiting because we're really technically never waiting, but you kind of mastered everything currently in your world, and you used to, like, every year I kind of bring on something different. This year I bought on courses, and I was doing a lot of teaching and courses, where the year before that I was doing streaming, and that was my new thing to kind of get used to. And the year before that it was, I don't remember, drawing. I think I was doing a lot of drawing the year before that, and then writing, and every year it's been kind of something different. And eventually you're doing all of it. So you have all this stuff you're doing. I mean, I got a lot of platforms that I post different things on, but you get to where you do it quicker. It's not like it doesn't take as much to do it. You kind of get in a flow with it. It's like learning a job in a sense. After a while, it's like, oh, that's old hat. I can do that really quick. And okay, let me do that really quick. And that's super easy. Let me knock that out too. And then you're like, okay, what's next? So normally when I start to feel that boredom come in for me, I know that something is about to shift. I'm about to get something else. Something else is going to be put on my plate to kind of do along with everything else, because you do have every aspect of me does something different. The aspect of me that does a video is a different aspect than the one who does the streams, and the one who teaches the courses, and the one who goes out and talks to people when I feel like going out and talking to people for the more one-on-one, in-person connections, or the person who does a session when I do sessions. That's a kind of a different aspect of me. So we have those 12-dimensional aspects of ourselves, that every aspect kind of does something different. An aspect of me does all the cleaning. An aspect of me built the website. An aspect of me does the finances. An aspect of me, and a lot of times we're everything, because we can't really have other people come in to help us, because we can't be sovereign. I mean, I can have someone eventually come in and help with my website, but I can't do that until I've done it myself. And I've done it myself for a long time. And then my universe might say, okay, now you can have help with that. But you have to be able to do it on your own. We can't be dependent on people. We can't be dependent on anybody but ourselves. So if you're in a boredom phase, your templates are usually also, like I said, a zillion reasons. You have to feel the one that kind of resonates with you in this moment, the strongest one, but there's also going to be a lot you can't see. There'll be some you can see and some you can't see. And the same thing with me. There's some I can see and some I can't see. Eventually, I'll be able to see that one too. So when I know when my templates are rebuilding and I feel like I'm kind of in this, kind of in a hold, it's not a waiting because we don't wait. We keep doing stuff. It's just like, oh, I'd like to do something else now. What am I supposed to do next? So it's like, bring me that reality. Bring me the money to do that. Bring me the money to do this. But sometimes it just doesn't come right away. And we get kind of frustrated. We're like, okay, now I'm just kind of bored. And okay, pitter patter. And normally for me, I know it's not a loneliness for me anymore because I don't want to add people in. I don't feel the need to go out and connect with a lot of people to pull them in. That's not what I'm talking about. It's like, that's just something else I got to deal with. If someone comes in organically and they're supposed to be here and it feels like that, that's different. But I'm not going to go out. I don't feel like I need more people. I don't know if that would help the boredom. It's not even a distraction because we get to a place where that's not even distracting us because it's so harsh on our field to have a lot of people that are around that are in so many different places that we don't even seek that out anymore. That's not something that's going to assist the situation, especially when, and the boredom for me kind of comes with, I kind of feel like I don't have any creativity. I don't have any inspiration. The stuff that used to excite me, I kind of have mastered that in a sense, and it doesn't excite me anymore. Could I do 5 more streams? Sure. On different platforms? Okay. But it doesn't bring me an excitement to do that, because I can always create content. I can create content easily. A lot of people will say, why don't you chop up that video and make it 10 different videos? I was like, it's just quicker for me to do a new video because I can do that in 10, 15 minutes than spending 2 hours chopping stuff up. You will find you're never going to have nothing to say. And you won't be able to have a hard time coming up with content after a while. That's easy peasy. You can always talk about something. I can talk about something forever. It's when you're talking about consciousness, there's almost like you kind of go through a portal and it's no time. Time goes by so quick. I used to be able to do shorter videos. Now I can't do them anymore because I see so many different things I want to bring into it that usually a 2-minute video was a struggle for me. Now to keep everything under a certain time frame, which I try to do just because one of my platforms doesn't like over 15 minutes. So I try to keep everything kind of less than that, except the streams. The streams are where I go longer. So if you do see anything I touch on in a video, if you go look at SoundCloud or Twitch will have the video stream, but they only stay for like 14 days. The SoundCloud has every stream I've ever done, and there's just tons of stuff there. So it kind of goes into things in more depth that I can't really do on kind of the shorter videos. But so just be aware of when you are in that boredom phase, things are shifting, your template's rewriting. It's just not quite where it needs to be yet for that new thing to come in. But usually I know that's going to shift. When I start reminiscing about old stuff, another sign I'm about to shift. Anytime I start thinking about the good old days, about anything, I know I'm about to shift. So just kind of keep those in mind. And the one thing I wanted to add, if you are feeling the loneliness, feeling the boredom, feeling anything, or you have a decision to make, or if you keep looping around to the same thing, I'm kind of thinking this should be a separate video, but we're going to tag it here. Keep looping around to the same kind of stuff. And you don't know, why do I keep ending up in the same place? And there's a zillion reasons for that. And one of the reasons is going to be for that is you're going deeper in the program. You didn't get it all out and you're going to go deeper. We got to go deeper. We got to go deeper, deeper in all the time. And there's a part of it where we're going to do that. And there's another part of it where we might not be doing the highest aligned thing every time. So we keep going back to ground zero to work out more programming because we also can't see the highest aligned thing in that moment. So what I started doing was asking, I would see something I would do, maybe a safety net I had, maybe something I'd normally do if I needed something, a person I'd normally call if I needed something. And I was like, wow, that's kind of the easy way out. I keep ending up in the same place. What do I do? Is that the highest aligned thing for me to do right now? And I kind of sat with that till I got an answer. Is that the highest aligned thing? Or is that just the easy thing? Is that my go-to thing? Is that the easy way for me to go? Is there a higher aligned thing I can do right now that makes more sense? And I don't want to say makes more sense. It's probably not going to make any sense. But energetically, that's a higher aligned thing. And you just sit with it. and eventually you will get your answer. Now, a lot of people say, oh, I didn't get my answer. Either you didn't set long enough or you didn't like the one you got, but you got your answer, okay? Set longer, you'll get it. What's the highest aligned thing for me to do? So if you're in that kind of place and you're not sure what you're supposed to do, set with it and ask that question. If you keep looping around to the same thing, keep ending up in the same place, like, okay, is this the highest aligned thing? Sometimes we get so attached to the outcome we want, and we get so into one timeline that we almost get attached to the timeline. I talked a little bit about that in another video, I think. And we don't look at, is there a higher thing I can do right now? Like, I'm so attached to the ending that this whole thing might not even be aligned anymore. I just want that outcome. I'm too attached to the outcome now, you know? So just ask the question, is this the highest aligned thing I can do right now? And when I looked at it and I asked that, what I wanted to do wasn't the highest aligned thing. There was something else I could do that was higher aligned. Higher aligned for a lot of reasons. One, because it allowed me to show something about, showing something to somebody else, you know, showing something kind of energy and work in a sense, how if you do this, you're going to trigger this. Look what just happened when you did that. So it became actually more of a lesson for me and a lesson for someone, and a lesson, but kind of a teaching for someone else about something that they might not have seen before. And that's what made it higher aligned, because it wasn't all about me. It was about it's always about other people you're bringing in too. It's like, what's higher aligned for everybody here? What's going to show something to everybody? So if you keep ending up in the same place, know you're clearing programming, you're not doing it wrong, but there might be a different way to go. And you might not be able to see it yet. And you might have had to loop a couple times so you were ready to say, okay, what's the highest line thing for me to do? Show me. And you will find out. There is something higher line for you to do. And maybe it is what you were going to do. For me, usually I have these go-tos. I've kind of created these go-tos because your human ego is very, very tricky. And when I talk about, you know, merging our ego is kind of always there, but we don't separate off into our ego anymore. Like, I knew what my ego wanted to do. I knew what my human ego wanted to do, but I was like, okay, but I'm not going to separate off into that aspect anymore. I've now merged that aspect in. I'm not going to separate off and go unconscious. And sometimes it's, you know, sometimes that still happens. But normally once we merge everything in, you know, we don't do that anymore. It's still there. We still hear it. We're just not making decisions from it. We're not separating off and just being all in that consciousness. Like, okay, what do I do? What do I do, human? What do I do? We don't do that anymore. We kind of set with it and say, okay, I hear what my human wants to do. Is that my human who wants to do that? Human's tricky. Our ego is tricky. Like, is that my human one? That's kind of, sometimes that's aligned for me to do that. But for whatever reason right now, that doesn't feel aligned for me to do that. It doesn't feel like that's right. So what, I can do that. I'll get an outcome, probably the outcome I want, but the other way I got the outcome I wanted too. Maybe I thought I'd get more if I did this, and maybe it was this selfishness in the other way, more for me, you know, because our human's always looking at where's the more for me at, you know, there's more for me here if I go this direction, but not really. I'll just loop around the same damn place again. But in the other way, I was like, oh, this is higher line. Now I know why. So play with that. If you're not sure why you keep ending up in the same place, you're not sure what to do with something, ask what's the highest aligned thing for me to do. Highest aligned thing. And keep practicing the art of intuition.